show respect and understanding to those who act and stands that listen since time immemorial. Today, we have the ongoing responsibility of representing the spirit of the intent of the treaties with all First Peoples and the nations that call this place home. The town expresses gratitude for the opportunity to build a better community on these sacred lands for generations to come. And with that, I call the regular council meeting of June 16th, 2026 to order. Our first business is going to be the adoption of the agenda. Council, any additions or changes? Administration, I know you have some.
Mr. Mayor, so we have moved the Rural Transit Solution Grant financial commitment to closed session as per Section 19 of the Access to Information Act. And we would also recommend that we pass the agenda with the supplementary materials attached. We did receive some late submissions in regards to the public hearing. So just to make sure that those are the record, if we could approve the agenda with the supplementary materials included, that would be great.
Thank you. Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the amended regular council meeting agenda with the supplementary materials for June 16th.
Council. Oh, Councillor Nelson, do you have a comment?
Just a question. So with the supplementary materials, with the public not having been able to see them and us having not much opportunity to consider them or get any feedback on them, how will the public be able to access those? And if we require time to review those during this meeting, will that time be offered?
Through the mayor, members of council. So the supplementary materials have been updated publicly. So all of everybody should be able to access them, including council and the public. Council would like a little bit of time to go through the late submissions. We can certainly do that today. Our other option would be to refer it to the next council meeting for second and or third reading, and it just gives us a little bit of time to consider that. But we also may receive some verbal submissions today as well, and those can be considered by council today, or again, it can be referred to the next.
Sounds good. And Mr. Chair, I would just ask that we're probably going to be working off of different agendas. I downloaded mine on as soon as it came. And so the in-camera one was not there. And so we just might have some trouble following along for talking about page numbers. So, but I think I'm okay moving forward. Thank you.
The chaos should work with where my head is today, so that'll be fine. All right. With that, then I call the question to council adopt the agenda as amended and with the supplementary materials being attached. Please vote. And that's passed unanimously. Thank you, council. Next, we need to approve some minutes. Councillor Charlton.
I would like to move that we accept the regular council minutes for the meeting June 2nd, 2026.
So then, the minutes from the events and the June 2nd, 2026, please vote. That's passed unanimously. Thank you. All right. Next, we have a minute with council. Anyone online? Anyone would like to speak a minute at council? You're going to be given time for the public at the public hearing if you're here to talk about short-term rentals, so that can come later. All right. Then we will open with our presentations, and it's always nice to welcome our Hinton Youth Advisory Council. So if we could have them please step to the mic. Let us know what they've been doing for last year.
Hey, council. Thank you for having us today. We will now introduce our youth counselors, Counselor Sterling and Counselor Hero, Counselor Sabrina, Counselor Crystal, Counselor Max, Counselor Kenzie, Counselor Rudy, and Counselor Addie. Some of the volunteer work that our counselors have done over this past term was helping with Full Circle, coaching the HCS junior boys basketball team, the rural mental health network, Santa's Anonymous, scorekeeping basketball games, the Beaver Boardwalk community oversight stuff, the Mountain View School, Easter Bunny photo shoot, the Superintendent's Youth Council, Food Bank, and Hinton Poverty Simulation.
Our guest speakers this term were Christina presented about the town boards and committees. Sorry, I cannot see this print very well. Alicia, presentation. Where I have a presentation of laboratories, true, guest speaker from Protect Your Assets. Brooke presented from the Rural Mental Health Network. Lindsay presented on the mental health wellness in schools. We're truly grateful that these people took the time and effort to present to us. One of our main projects were about the Athcat of Hinton, which if you didn't know already, we have a mascot. And basically what our debates were should the Athcat keep its name? Should we change the Athcat? And so on and so forth.
And more information was, should the mascot have its own social media personality? And Councillor Max voted that it should definitely have its own social media personality because that's cool. And Councillor Crystal, they made a motion about like it being a good idea to replace the town mascot. And we definitely think that the Athcat deserves a new costume, and that was agreed by council.
As a council, we also got the opportunity to visit Pine Valley Lodge and spend time with the seniors, establishing a connection between the youth and seniors. We had an evening of bingo filled with laughter and conversation and friendly competition, which the seniors, I learned, are very good at bingo. We worked together to plan and participate in meaningful volunteer opportunity and created positive community connections while giving back and creating social engagement. It was a ton of fun, and I think both seniors and youths really enjoyed it.
Sorry, we have some pictures that aren't loading up on the big screen, unfortunately. And so I will move on to our mental health project. What we did was take up the mental wellness initiative to the high schools. Our focus was basically promoting at schools with there's two girl students and Councillor Crystal and Councillor Max. They hosted a mental health information booth. It was done during lunchtime. They engaged students in like conversations about mental health and like what support they have available. And at Harry College, the rest of the 6 counselors, we visited classrooms and did brief 5-minute presentations on anxiety and healthy coping mechanisms. We distributed fidgets and promoted stress management tools. And we encouraged open discussion about mental health and self-care. So our photos are up there. This was the booth setup at Gerard. And our debate and meeting procedures are about learning and following Robert's rules, taking minutes and sharing meetings turn by turn. And we have multiple fun debates, such as the swag debate, the Athcat debate, our dogs or cats were superior.
And who won?
We can decide.
We can decide. Should group projects count towards grades? Is TikTok more helpful than harmful? Should schools ban cell phones entirely during the school day, which is an ongoing debate? Does Hinton need any more murals? Should school only be 4 days a week? And is AI helping students learn or making them lazy?
We thank administration for this opportunity, having us. Having us in the meetings and bring our scenes with us. So, we're really trying to have pastors, those young guys passing, and his passion for the town of Clinton was evident. Thanks, council, for having us and giving us this amazing opportunity.
These are our photos, some of the photos of our year. Thank you for inviting us here to present to you. Any questions?
Council. Councilor Charlton.
Not really a question, but maybe a comment. Good job, girls. Like it's a lot of work to make a presentation like that and share all the information with us. And maybe I do have a question. Is any of you interested in pursuing being a counselor someday?
They already are.
Well, fair enough. Yeah, that's fair. How about on this side of the table?
Yeah, I feel like this is a great starter for it.
Yeah.
It's definitely something I am considering, and my parents are, because they're like, oh my God, you're in so many councils. Why not just join like the regular one when you're older? I'm like, but yeah, it sounds exciting, you know? It's like a big role in the community that you guys have, and I'm really grateful to be on the youth side. So I think lots of consideration, I think would be a good idea. Right.
Citizens don't get involved. A lot of citizens don't take getting involved seriously enough, and thanks for taking the time and learning Robert's rules as much as they suck. They're important. So thanks for getting involved.
Thank you.
Right. And now, next up, 5.2 is the extended producer responsibility phase 2 presentation. Excitingly, we are going to get curbside recycling in Hinton.
I believe we have the EPR or extended producer responsibility people who are going to be coming in online. Council, would you like to make a motion just to set the presentation?
Councilor Nelson.
I'll make the motion that we accept the circular materials presentation as information.
Oh, sorry, I was just referring to the youth advisor.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'll
the
accept the youth council
yeah.
presentation for information.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Council, we have a motion on the floor. That council accept the Hinton Youth Advisory Council presentation for information. Please vote. I would have been disappointed if it wasn't unanimous. It was. Thank you. All right, now we have 5.2, the extended producer responsibility phase 2 presentation, and tying in by Zoom.
Good afternoon, folks.
Hello.
Hi there. Just making sure you can hear me. Thanks very much for having me. I've been invited to give you a little bit of information about what we're planning to do for the town of Hinton. My name is Blair Gaulis, and I'm the managing director for circular materials, everything to do with recycling for paper and packaging and single-use products. I want to make the presentation relevant to you. I heard that you have it, so I can screen share. You guys can, I don't know what your protocols are, so if you let me know if you want me to control a presentation or you want to, that would be helpful.
Administration?
No preference from administration. I would say it's up to council if we want. Our presenter could share her presentation on the screen and go through it.
Let's not debate it.
Okay, that sounds great to me. Let me know if you can see that.
Perfect.
Okay, good. I want to make this relevant to you. I'd rather spend more time. Most councils want to spend more time asking some questions. So I don't want to start too far back. I'm going to ask you, would you like me to go through who Circular Materials is and what extended producer responsibility is, or do you have a base knowledge on that?
We have a base knowledge, but maybe if you could give a 30-second update, because I'm sure there's people listening who might not.
You bet I can. Yeah, I'll keep it brief. Circular Materials is called a producer responsibility organization. We represent producers under the new law called Extended Producer Responsibility. There's a regulation passed. And what that regulation says is that producers must now operationalize and manage all of the curbside and depot programs throughout the province to collect what has traditionally been put into blue box or blue bag recycling, paper and packaging products. This means that we are responsible for paying for these programs and making sure there's a good level of service in Alberta. Circular Materials is a nonprofit organization, and we're not vertically integrated. We don't own any of the curbside collectors, machines, plants, none of those things. But what we are responsible for is collecting the material and actually producing audited verification that these materials are getting recycled in a way that Alberta would be proud of. This is just, there's lots of founding members, but it gives you an idea of who the producers are responsible behind the scenes and who Circular Materials represents. As we move into extended producer responsibility, there's been a few waves, but some of the benefits of what we're trying to do in Alberta is one, we're trying to operationalize a provincial system. So it's the first time in Alberta we've seen something like that. As you're aware, traditionally municipalities operated their garbage and recycling services. So now this is being passed over across the table to hold producers' responsibility for getting back the products that they produce, but so that they can also recycle it. Some of the benefits is that we're doing everything in what we call single stream. And that means we're putting all of the PPP, we call them paper and packaging materials, we call that PPP. We're putting those all in the same bin, the same cart, at the same depot location. And we've invested through contracts hundreds of millions of dollars to develop what we call pre-conditioning facilities. In the past, you would have known these things as MRFs, but they're much more advanced to be able to sort the materials and then sell them nationally into recycling markets, because Canada is a really small place in terms of population, a big place in terms of land, but we need to come together to be able to do this well. And Circular Materials operates in one way or another, and every province, almost every territory across Canada. Circular Materials also manages the promotion and education. I'll talk a little bit more about this on the back end, so I'll keep that brief. But we'll have provincial, regional, targeted campaigns to teach Albertans and people like us how to recycle and what to put in those materials, because contamination is very expensive and not productive. All right, I'm going to move through this. We started, if you're familiar with extended producer responsibility, we started last year in April. We onboarded about 94% of all Alberta communities. We're moving to phase 2, which is for October 1 of this year, of which Hinton is signed up for curbside. You already have a depot service operated through your Edson peoples. And so we'll have over 98% of all of the province onboarded into the system by October. These are some of my favorite slides. I will not walk through all the details, so don't worry, but you have this as a record. This gives you a little bit of understanding of what actually constitutes PPP, or paper and packaging materials. It's a lot of stuff. And so at the highest level, this gives you a look at, we consider paper and fibers and cardboard and all of the traditional things. All of these things and more are eligible for recycling through your curbside program, as well as, and your depot program, but as well as all of these plastic packaging pieces. The new things will include styrofoam and flexible plastics. Those will be in our system for everybody in Alberta as of October. The last page of this, metal containers, traditional stuff, but also things like aerosols and all glass containers, things used as packaging. It's a lot of materials. There is some stats around there that says if we learn to recycle correctly, we can reduce our garbage collection by 50%. So you folks are registered with us. We know that you're eligible for curbside services because you have municipality-led garbage services, which is fantastic. And you have a depot, Rowan Street, operated, as you know, through Edson District Recycling Society. So what's coming next? For October 1, we ran a curbside request for proposal last year in preparation for almost 180 new communities that have never had curbside services before. And we found some curbside collectors through that process. We plan to operationalize the system for you free of charge. We fund all components. And we'll talk about that a little bit. With 360, they're a bit bigger liter carts. They'll have some locking mechanism because of your animal and the little bit more mountainous wilderness areas you guys live in. It'll be bi-weekly collection, and we'll pick up those materials on a schedule, and then we'll bring them back to Edmonton for sorting and recycling. We will also maintain your Hinton Depot a little bit in terms of how it's being operated. So you'll maintain that for overflow, and anybody kind of in the outside of your community that doesn't qualify for curbside collection. We have a really active promotion education, but I saw there's a couple more slides on that coming up, so I'll just wait until then. Overall, we are on target to make sure that carts will be delivered, that your residents will be served. This also will include multifamily dwellings in your community. They'll be eligible for the service free of charge. What this looks like for your residents and what's going on there. We have been talking with your municipal staff, and they should have received a letter, or they will receive a letter early this week, just confirming the details so they understand what the next steps are, who the service provider is. As part of that relationship management, we coordinate meetings with our curbside collectors and your municipal staff so that they can build a relationship. We will monitor that relationship to make sure that all the services through our contracts are meeting the needs of people in Hinton. We are going to communicate with your residents as well. We're going to let them know, hey, this is coming. We plan to do that in early July. And it will just tell them it's coming. Here's your service. Here is your curbside service provider. And more information, stay tuned. Here's where you can find out about what can go into your cart and what that looks like. There will be a follow-up communication with your residents that will actually provide a calendar for the exact days of service, and a little bit more information on how to communicate on any customer service issues, how to communicate with circular materials, and that will come in early September. Your carts will also be delivered in September on a schedule. We have it contracted, so we'll make sure that everybody has a cart, that should have a cart before October 1. And I think that's most of the plans. Services fully start as of October 1 of this year. And then we will go from there. I won't spend too much time on these. Lots of promotion and education activities. We're a national organization. We have a lot of resources in that capacity, which is nice. So we can leverage off the learnings of some of our other teams throughout Canada. We will be active. We do try to attend events. We will make things available, and we're always looking for ways to improve it. We have provided your municipal staff with toolkits, and there will be toolkits coming out for you folks as well. So you can understand some of the key messages if you're asked them, what's happening, why is it happening? And that's exactly what this slide says. In terms of where we're going, I think this one's more or less a repeat of the other timelines. So we're going to make sure that we're communicating actively with your residents and with you folks. We ask that service providers respond to residents. We have pretty tight timelines in contract. We manage those communications, and then we resolve things like missed collections, making sure that everybody has a cart. Our service providers are required to maintain those carts and provide replacement carts free of charge should the cart break down. we look at it full scale that way. So that really takes me to the end of this very lot of information, but very quick presentation. You have a couple people from my team that are assigned just to your file, so that your staff know that they can reach out directly to them at any time. I will end it there and just help and answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Really good news. Thanks for your time. Council, any questions? Councillor Chambers.
Thank you. One of the things I noticed in the presentation when it's talking about what to know materials and examples, and I've had a few people kind of reach out to me from the community. The one that says rinse and dry is metal, so food cans and things like that. But when you look at some of these other cleaning supplies and glass containers, everyone's concerned about their water usage right now in Hinton. So so that's an understatement. They're saying, is that the only thing that we should be rinsing out? What about my laundry detergent container? What about those different things? Because it doesn't quite say to be rinsing them. So is this a bit of a different expectation that, toothpaste tubes and things like that? Historically, we wouldn't be recycling. So is there a different criteria than what we would have traditionally thought about kind of having to pre-wash all of our recycling?
Yeah, there is a little bit. That's a good question. Now, it's not a perfect science, but it is what is realistic. So what we're really focused on is food contamination, because when when it sits and then we collect it and we take it over to get processed, that stuff can be a biological hazard, and then we lose the whole. Recycling, if done correctly, can be valuable, right? And at scale, it can be done, and that's the point. We actually want to turn this stuff into other things. So we're focused on that versus the soap, which, if things get soapy, not as bad for us. Those sort of, and we do not expect you to try to push out all the toothpaste out of your tube or do those things. Whatever's realistic. And I think that's where that messaging comes from. And sometimes because there's so many types of plastic containers, we run out of space on the messaging to put more information. We're just trying to target key stuff. So whatever is realistic is what we want. If it's full of food, we could lose a whole batch of stuff. So the basics.
Anyone else? Councillor Chambers.
Sorry, one more question. One of the other things is, curbside is good, sounds great. What does that look like for people in apartments or condominiums that have kind of a larger, garbage bins right now where they're kind of have more of a congregate living setting? What does curbside look like for somebody that's not just in a residential neighborhood?
Yeah, amazing question. So as of October 1, we call them multifamily dwellings. That's all the things you just described. They qualify. If your municipality was already providing them garbage collection services, that they weren't doing it on their own, we're already working that contract through, it's already planned for. And we'll continue to service them in the way that we are. If it's net new to them, they didn't have it before, it doesn't matter. They just need to register with Circular Materials directly. And then we will make sure that they'll either get probably some sort of large bin with controls, because we don't want a bunch of big black garbage bags ending up, all the contamination. But absolutely, they're going to get service. They just have to drop it down in a bin at the bottom of their building. Sometimes it's a whole bunch of carts. Sometimes it's big bins. Sometimes it could be bags even. Yeah, blue bags.
All right, seeing no one else in queue, then I'd like to thank you for your presentation today and thank you for your time. An amazing service. Can't wait to see it be in place. And with that, I would accept the motion to receive the presentation as information. Councillor Charlton.
I'll make the motion that we receive the Extended Producer Responsibility Phase 2 presentation for information.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
Thank you. All right, with that, I call the question and the council accept the community grant program presentation for information. Please vote. And that's passed unanimously. Thank you. All right, 5.3, our community grant program. Oh, look, you're up again. Now that you're a veteran.
Hello again, council. This time I'm speaking as the chairperson of the Hinton Grant Funding Committee, and thank you for allowing us to present. I'd like to acknowledge.
Maybe move in front of the mic just so people at home can hear. There you go. Thank you.
I'd like to acknowledge, unfortunately, Christina Shantz, our coordinator. She was unable to make it here, so yeah. Oh, excuse. Our members who reviewed the 2026 applications were Susan Armstrong, me, Mike Story, Trevor Bushman. Sorry, just figuring this out. So our role as the grant funding committee, it is to fund like one-time projects and initiatives operating expensive during developmental stages, and events that are primarily designed for the general public that attract visitors and contribute to our local economy and promote volunteerism. Yes, please. And was being married.
Oh, she's.
Yeah, she's, yep. And yeah.
He's really good at it.
Slide. Next slide, please. Our responsibilities are to review and rank and provide recommendations to town council for eligible applications under our criteria. And we rank and we consider all the criteria and we deem if we're satisfied. And we want to reflect the applicants that we actually provide our funding to. We want to make sure they align and reflect the town council's priorities and visions. Next, please. Our evaluation criteria is based on assessment, analysis, and planned evaluation with measurable targets and outcomes, their cost benefit value, degree of financial need, and how much they can help themselves, number of people impacted, and how great their outreach is to the community, demonstration we see an outview of their plan, financial stability, and if they can match our funds and revenue, the management. Summing up the averages of all council members, we're able to provide the historical Hinton Society with 1,700. The original request was set 1,500. We had some leftover money, which we thought would do good for them to have more. And the Athabasca River Potters Guild, they got it. They requested $8,914.50. We rounded up their demand to 9,000. Running the Rockies for their event, they requested 2,000. They got their full amount. The Hinton District and District Chamber of Commerce, they requested 7,500 for their Pizza and the Rockies passport program. They got the full funding. As for the Prostate Cancer Center, for the Man activities due to certain consideration and everything, they requested $4,000, but we our council decided on no funding for them. We saw better benefit in them having to reach Alberta Health Services, and we, after lots of consideration, that was made. For the Hinton Figure Skating Club, for their events, they requested $3,500. They got their full funding. And any questions, any clarifications I can help you with?
Council. All right, seeing no, Councillor Charlton.
Sorry, I was late to the draw. Just some clarification. Will there be a little bit more description on the like it says pottery wheel replacement under Athabasca Run in the Rockies, but under Hinton and District Chamber of Commerce Pizza in the Rockies passport program? Is that?
So, pizza places around Hinton. As you may know, like there's a wide variety. I believe their plan was to like give like visitors and like people are all around the town a chance to like experience. They would get these like summer passports that they can use and like get stamped on every time they like visited a pizza place. And I felt like we felt like it was a great thing because that promoted the pizza places for their business and like people would come around to Hinton just for like to try pizza.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Heather.
All right, seeing no one else in queue for a second time, I thank you for taking the time, first of all, to be involved, second of all, to come today and do a presentation. So thank you. I know we're going to address this a little later in the meeting, so I'll leave it for then. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting us and letting us present and letting us give our recommendations.
Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the community grant program presentation for information.
Thank you.
We didn't do the EPR.
Hey?
We not do the extent raiser one.
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, because I made that motion, so.
Sorry, what was the question? So.
No, we did, yeah. There you go. That looks great. We call the question, the council accept the community grant program presentation for information. Please vote. And that's passed unanimously. Thank you very much. And next, we move into the public hearing. So we will have a non-statutory public hearing for short-term rental bylaw number 1162-3. Administration, anything to add?
Through the mayor, no, nothing to add, but we have included, just for everyone's knowledge, the entry of written submissions have been included in the newest version of the agenda package.
Thank you.
That should be brief and to the point. The order of presentation will be entry of written submissions, and those will be entered into record, not read out today. Those supporting the bylaw, those opposing the bylaw, and any other person deemed to be affected by the bylaw. Council may question after each presentation for clarification. There will be no debating of the bylaw. However, clarifying questions to councillors or other parties will be accepted through the chair. Ms. Secretary.
The purpose of the proposed bylaw number 1162-3 is to amend the short-term rentals bylaw to include regulations around non-principal residents, short-term rentals as shown on attachment 1 and attachment 2, proposed bylaw amendment number 1162-3, redlined. First reading was given to bylaw number 1162-3 on June 2nd, 2026. Notice of this public hearing was advertised on the Town of Hinton website, the Town of Hinton Facebook page, and emailed or texted in the Hinton Highlight weekly e-newsletter to those who have signed up to be notified.
Thank you. First, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of bylaw number 112-3? Is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to bylaw number 112-3? Is there anyone present? The 112-3 and wishes to speak? Please approach. Hit the button, your green light will come on and oh, there you go. Now the green light's on. All right, please proceed.
My name is Ferenc Scobie. I am a non-principal resident or non-principal short-term rental owner recently. I did submit a written submission here, so I can just read it or just to answer questions. But I've had a number of points through it. Just read it.
Sure.
Okay.
I read
I
it
can
quickly this afternoon.
paraphrase if you
It's fairly, because it refers back to the bylaw in a lot of places, but if you want to make those points, Mr. Scobie,
All right.
please proceed.
All right. So just because I have a fair amount of experience working on legislation and trying to implement it, I went through it. 3.3.1, it talks about the application and it says that everything's got to be complete. But then later on, it says, well, you got 60 days to make it complete and compliant. And so to me, that says, well, okay, if it's got to be complete up front, we expect them to be not complete and not compliant. And then we try it out. So sounds like there's going to be 2 inspections and it's not really clear to me what's going on there. So my proposal kind of was maybe we need a self-assessment checklist that we can just submit with the application that says we're complete. And then when the time comes to actually deliver the property becomes available or the license becomes available, then maybe that's when the compliance inspection happens, which would be you'd make sure it was compliant when it's active, not 2 years before. I'm going to skip over a lot of this. I think there was one there as an.
And if I could make the comment, Mr. Scobie, we will review your points in detail.
Right.
It appears though this is going to come back one more time anyhow. So,
all right,
please proceed.
Yeah, the written registry of all guests is very onerous to do. So just from a practical standpoint, when somebody signs up with Airbnb, for example, usually I get a party, like a contact name and their phone number and contact information. Sometimes they'll provide contact information of the other guests. I've never gotten their kids' names. So the requirement to have all guests is going to be onerous on the owners and probably provides little value. So yeah, today I have a guest in there. I'm non-compliant because I don't have everybody's name. I did find more from going through the application process. I found it quite frustrating, and it's more of a link between the legislation and the inconsistencies between what's listed in the legislation as a requirement, what's listed on the fire department checklist or the checklist I was handed to make sure that I had done, which I did, and then what the inspector actually required. So I would just say, more from an patient standpoint, it would be nice to have the one source of truth that we can look at. Example would be some of the better it talks about fire requirement to have smoke detectors. Well, that's also included in the code. So you're double counting it. And then the point I had in there was that the wording said Bluetooth and wireless. Wired connectors are also appropriate, but your legislation would not allow that. And then one of the ones I think that we're actively discussing right now is the ability to transfer licenses. Because we have put a lot of money into renovating and going through all the steps. And so we're looking at ways with, okay, how do we transfer a license without, once they're all set. And I get the intent, but one of the workarounds, just to share with you guys, is we're considering putting it under a corporation. So then if somebody else wants to come along, well, we just sell them the shares. The owner of the corporation still owns the property, would still be so nothing changes. We would be compliant with the law, but we effectively have a workaround. So I'm totally, I don't, because if you never address it, then you say no down the road. Something you don't want to. And then there's, the rest of it, I think you guys can just read and talk about. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Councillor Dunn.
Yes, thank you. I have a question. If you do change it into a corporation, would you then be paying taxes as a non-residential business versus a residential business?
I think we would be, I don't know how your taxes work for corporations in town here, so I can't really answer that properly. We would be a corporation with the primary office in Hinton.
Okay, maybe for administration?
Through the mayor to Councillor Dunn. No, our taxes and whether you're taxed on a residential or non-residential is based on use. So even though it's short-term residential use, it's still considered under your residential tax.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
And with that, thank you for the time you took. Obviously, you spent some time having a look at this, and rest assured we will as well. Thank you, Mr. Scobie. And we have 2 more names listed. Will they appear now? Is it Ms. Yonke? Is that who's up next? Oh, hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm happy to, sorry I can't be there in person. My son is graduating today from Grant MacEwan, so we're just here.
That's important.
So my name's Roxanne Yonke. I've been a longtime resident of Hinton. I grew up there and I've raised my family there. I'm a local real estate agent, and my husband and I have a local home building company as well. I wanted to express my opposition to the proposed cap on the short-term rentals in Hinton. As a realtor, I don't think Airbnbs have quite the impact on the housing and rental shortages that many people think they do. As a realtor, I've only sold one Airbnb, non-principal Airbnb ever, and it was to a young local couple that, I applaud them for their entrepreneurship and taking advantage of that opportunity in this economy. Right now, I'm happy to give you the news that we have 56 residential listings in town. 11 of the properties are under $200,000. 22 of the properties are under $350,000, and 38 of those properties are under $450,000. So inventory today is quite a bit, I would say it's significantly higher than we've seen over the last 18 months. So this isn't, again, affected, in my opinion, so much by Airbnbs. I know that when I moved back to town in 2006, we had literally no properties to choose from to buy a home in Hinton. So there was no prevalence of short-term rentals at that time, and yet we still saw that. So I think it demonstrates that the housing shortages are not significantly impacted strictly by Airbnb. Like, it's a complicated issue that has a lot of parts to it that I think often gets blamed on Airbnbs. Just going to kind of read what I have here, I guess. Much of the increase in housing and rental costs has been driven by factors affecting the whole province, including higher interest rates, increased migration to Alberta from other provinces, as well as strong immigration into Canada. Many landlords are just like the rest of us and they don't own their properties outright. So they're paying mortgages. And when interest rates have gone from levels like 2% to 5%, of course, that dramatically increases their overall costs and rents go up. So it's not just in Hinton, it's across the province and most likely across the country that rents have gone up. So I guess my point is if Airbnbs disappeared tomorrow, we're not going to see rents return to the 2019 rates. It's just, those numbers aren't going to change. My own example is that I'm an Airbnb owner as well, and I didn't really intend to become an Airbnb owner, but my parents both passed away and my dad had built our family home himself, and it just had a significant level of importance to our family, I guess. And we wanted to keep it into the family, and I let family come stay there from across the province, and we share the home, and I want the next generation to be able to visit it and be there. And the only way we can really do that is through Airbnb. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity. And I don't want to see a cap that comes on and you have these unique circumstances and people can't choose to use their home that way. If I had monthly tenants in there, I wouldn't be able to put it to the same use. We've invested significantly in that home. We've done renovations. It's beautified the neighborhood. We take really great care as a family to ensure that that property is well managed and looked after. And we take a lot of pride in it. I know that there's lots of people who are not just getting into Airbnbs either as on purpose, I guess. Sometimes they don't have enough equity in their home to sell it, and it's a way of keeping it for a short term, maybe to get back on their feet with finances. Maybe they move in with parents, or I've seen it happen several times. And sometimes the monthly rentals just are not paying those costs with interest rates right now, and for certain situations. I know that people are concerned about neighborhood impacts and I know those issues have been raised frequently. I can't speak to every operator, but I can say that I've never received a complaint regarding my Airbnb, and problem properties should be addressed, but they should not define the entire industry, in my opinion. It's also a lot easier to address the problems of short-term guests rather than long-term tenants, because property managers have more rights in that regard. My real concern today, though, is like I am opposed to the cap. I want that noted, but my real concern is that regarding future development. So like I said, we're local home builders, and building has kind of come to a standstill for detached residential housing. Building costs since COVID have they've just skyrocketed. I know that another local builder in town has had 2 brand new listings, or brand new homes that he built, sitting for over a year because they just cannot compete with existing older homes. The value just isn't there. So we're brought to a standstill in that way. And it's, doing an Airbnb on a main level and then possibly doing a long-term rental in the basement is one of the only business models that we can come up with to finish some of the lots that we have. So to me, it just only makes sense in a development light that you would have a new tax-paying home, you would have a long-term rental, and an opportunity for us as a local business to finish what we started, I guess. Also,
okay, the timer's gone off, Ms. Yonke, so could you just summarize?
Yes, sure. I guess another important thing that I wanted to say was that some of these neighborhoods will sit there indefinitely with the gaps of these bare lots. And I feel like they bought those places with the expectation that they would be finished. And I mean, to create a long-term rental, a short-term rental, and a tax-paying home for the community, I don't understand how it cannot be a viable answer for them to be above and beyond if you do choose to cap it at 70. Because I can't build the house that I want to on Cashpercott Cove without it being a short-term rental, at least on the top floor. It just,
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Any questions of Ms. Yonke?
Thanks very much, Roxanne.
Thank you.
And do we have one more? We do. Is she signing in by Zoom? Oh. Saranga? Did I say that correctly? You're tag teaming. All right.
All right, perfect. So good evening, Council. Yeah. I had I have it's too much of information. So I just want to wrap it up in 30 to 35 seconds. Okay, so I wrote something. I stand here today and I've been at Hinton for 15 years. And more importantly, I'm the fabric of the community, right? The citizen of town of Hinton. So basically, I'm going to talk about unregulated and non-principal short-term rentals, which are operating in residential zones. They aren't just competing the commercial hotels. They are just a little bit suffocating the workforce as well. Every residential home turned into full-time tourist rental is a home taken away from a local nurse, teacher, restaurant server, and a front desk agent. We strongly support a level playing field. We urge council to protect Hinton housing supply, enforce strictly commercial accountability on these operations, and drastically lower the cap on non-principal licensing. Let's keep the residential neighborhood for residents and tourists in commercial zones. Basically, I'm here to support my team who's looking forward for me, who are moving from different cities, towns, and people who are local as well. They haven't had time to find a good myself. Let's say, for example, if I have to choose town of Hinton as my full-time or my town to be in for future 30, 50, 40 years, I am having a hard time to find a house. It's directly, as Roxanne said, it's not directly impacting because of Airbnbs or SDRs, but it's somehow contributing into that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. The same thing. So I operate 2 hotels. This is my 3rd year in Hinton. We made the decision to move all the way from Red Deer to here. So we are in the process of coming. But personally, I'm affected too with the housing. So we are trying to find a raise. I got three boys to raise. And then so as well as the business is affected, and monthly basis, our occupancies are down and we don't meet the budgets, and it's affect our labor force, and people don't get hours. And with both the hotels and plus we will be new addition, the Montana, we spend lots of money, almost 2.5 to 3 million renovation, and plus the new restaurant we are adding into the community. So it's all affected. So we all are affected. So I thought, okay, so I'll come and share my concerns as well here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council, any questions? And with that, thank you for your time. Would anybody else like to speak today? Well, seeing none, then council thanks everyone who provided input today. It's important to hear from as many people as possible. And seeing no further submissions or comments for the public or from the public regarding this matter, I declare the non-statutory public hearing closed. And someone to step up and do the recommended action. Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to make a motion that council accepts the non-statutory public hearing for short-term rentals bylaw number 1162-3 for information.
Thank you. Council, I call the question. The council accepts the non-statutory public hearing for the short-term rental bylaw number 1162-3 for information. Please vote. And that's passed unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking your time and coming today. We really appreciate the input. Right, so. Now we will move on to our action items, and our first 7.1 to award the 2026 community grant application. Administration.
Thank you, Mr.
So. Grant funding for the time of the presentation that council saw earlier this evening. The report is before you. Administration supports the recommended action. And we also have a second motion before you on this request for decision, and that's allocating any remaining funding of the $25,000 to go to the community, or sorry, excuse me, to the council contingency fund for the remainder of the year. I won't go into all the detail on the awards that were recommended by the committee, and I will open it up for any questions from council at this time.
Council. Councillor Nelson.
In the past, we've had a little bit more information on what some of these events are. I think most of it's relatively straightforward, but I'm really struggling with understanding the Pizza in the Rockies, what that initiative does, and I understand it would be of the ones that there's money going towards, it would have been the lowest ranking, but just curious if there's any more information about what that initiative is.
Thank you for the question. I did not bring the submissions from them. It is my understanding it's a large community-based event, and they wanted to embrace the number of pizzerias that we have and do some promotion on there. We can certainly bring back more information. I'll bring the actual submissions to a future meeting if you wanted to potentially not make all of the awards as recommended.
Yeah, fine, Bob. It's the one that I'm comfortable with supporting. Which kind of takes it away from it being a community initiative. It's more of a business initiative that's picking one segment of our businesses. So I feel like I'm just missing something that if I had that information, I'd be likely to support. So I also don't know that I would want to vote against it either, but I look to the rest of council for feedback before I make a motion. Thank you.
I agree. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you. I as well would like to have seen more information. I'm struggling a little bit with the amount for the Athabasca River Potters Guild. And I know Harold touched on it today about the man van, but I would like to have had a better understanding about why that was denied. I know she says maybe going back to Alberta Health Services, but I think maybe they could have split it up a little bit. But I also appreciate the fact that we put a group together to go through this and make decisions. So I want to support that as well, but I feel like I'm missing a little bit of information.
Due to the chair to Councillor Dunn on the Prostate Cancer Society, that was not referred for recommendation for funding simply because they weren't in a position to start. Getting the money would have maybe helped them move towards their goal, but they weren't very clear on what that ultimate goal will be. So that was the reason for that funding not being the considerations. The passport program is a bit of a marketing for businesses, but the grant funding committee did feel that it had a large community outreach the way they were planning on supporting it. So the committee had made the decisions on that, but I certainly have no problem bringing further information forward.
Thank you.
Councillor Chambers.
Thank you. Through the chair, I do agree. I struggle with, looking at moving money into the council contingency fund, without looking at why a group did get zero, different things. That the presentation was good. And yes, I do respect the committee, but I think that, having a very small amount of money to spend yet not spending it all, it would just be a little bit nicer to have a bit more information. So I think I'd like to make a motion that we have this referred to a future, maybe to the next regular meeting with some more information, just so at least if we are ending up in a position where we're putting this money back into our council contingency fund, we understand why. Or is there another way that we can divvy it up to further help some people reach these goals or different things? So I think a little more information is just wise at this point, so we can be a little more informed, especially if we have to answer to why all the money wasn't spent.
Do that.
All right. I have a motion on the floor of the council, refer this, this report, I guess, sufficient for today. A recommendation from the Hinton Grand Funding Advisory Committee to a future. Do you want it to be to the next regular? Yeah, I think it should be to the next regular. I think these groups are waiting for this money. So if we could just update that to the next regular meeting. The information's available. All right. So I called a question. The council refer this report and recommendation from the Hinton Grant Funding Advisory Committee to the next regular council meeting. Well, everybody's had their say. So please vote. And that's passed unanimously. I guess we'll be talking about that again later. Councillor Nelson.
Yeah, we've passed that motion, so it'll be discussed at a future meeting, but I just want to plant a seed. This fund is now funded strictly through taxation, no longer through photo radar. So in my opinion, any funds that aren't spent should go towards the future year's budget, so we can tax less in future years rather than going to council contingency. If we end up spending $5,000 less because there weren't projects that fitted, I would rather see that be $5,000 less that is needed to be taxed for 2027's requirement to. I think just increases the likelihood of this fund being sustainable.
So you for the short-term rental bylaw amendment, the 1162-3. Station.
Thank you, Mayor. This one will go to Director McLaughlin.
Good evening, Council. You earlier heard the public hearing for short-term rental bylaw amendment number 1162-3. It is before you tonight for second and third reading. Just to provide a small update, we're still at 56 registered and 6 in the process for a total of 62 properties. So at the regular meeting of June 2nd, council made the following motions: that council give land use bylaw number 1162-3 first reading. That council direct administration that successful candidates for short-term rental bylaw number 1162-3 be awarded by lottery and not a first come, first served basis. That council amend short-term rental bylaw 1162-3 to remove cap exemptions for newly built residential units. that council direct administration to bring back the short-term rental bylaw 1162-3 to June 16th, 2026 regular council meeting, and that council direct administration to hold a non-statutory public hearing regarding the short-term rental bylaw 1162-3 at the June 16th regular council meeting. And we have made those edits in front of you tonight. Okay. Questions?
Thank you. And Mayor, just one other small housekeeping item that we will correct, but in section 4, it does it refers to subsection 4.4. We believe that's just an administrative error, and that should reflect section 4, not the specific 4.4. So the entirety of this section. So that's something that we can clean up as an administrative error for the next meeting or prior to passing.
Thank you. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you through the chair. I guess to administration, just before I potentially make a motion, being that we've already passed first reading, if there's a motion that I want to make on a specific section, is that to be done now prior to passing second reading? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, so much like some of our presenters tonight, one of the sections that I've really struggled with is the non-transferability or change in potential ownership for many of the reasons actually prior to hearing from our speaker this evening, just surrounding the potential for a change in partnership, maybe death of a spouse, divorce, separation, any of the things that come along in life. I think that there should be some reasonableness in our ability to, in certain circumstances, be able to transfer that. So the motion is that council amend 62-3 to incorporate a limited exemption to section 6.2 and 6.3 for continuation of a short-term rental license where a change in ownership or licensed operator results from estate succession, corporate restructuring, death of an owner, divorce, separation, or other similar circumstance, provided the development authority is satisfied and that the beneficial ownership, management, and control of the operation has substantially remained the same. I think to just, people are really investing a lot in some of these properties. Life throws us a lot of different cards. But I think that if the operation is substantially the same, still has a common shareholder, things like that, there needs to be a mechanism in some way in my opinion to be able to have this business continue on and not put further hardship upon somebody because they had a death in their family or different things like that. So yeah, that would be my motion I would like to put forward.
And Ms. DeLorme, I assume you had that ahead of time and you weren't trying to transcribe it as she typed it?
Paper.
Okay. Mr. Nelson.
Specifically. So if there was a death in the family and the house was sold, would the new owner of that house be able to, without an application, run a short-term rental?
Councillor Chambers.
So what I was, when I think about that, it's more, let's say, you and I are in a corporation together, the partner of the house passes away, we have to dissolve that corporation. I'm still a retained owner of this, now able to move forward with my own new corporation because we've dissolved our corporation with your passing. Situations like that. Not that your husband passes away, you sell the house to someone else and then they get that lease, but it's just in those strange things where you still have a common shareholder to the original application, where that could be transferred out of mine and your name of our corporation to just me or just you as that single entity versus the others, as long as that common shareholder was still there with the same intent, was what I was thinking.
Perfect. Yeah, if that's the intent, I'd look forward to seeing kind of what the verbiage looks like. So if it's broad enough to talk about estate planning and those sorts of things, and about, people have invested a lot into these properties. Part of that is if you have to sell because of a divorce, or I think the fair expectation But I think that their expectation, if we're setting the reasons because they put a lot of investment in it, that they should be able to sell it. And so I think that's where it can get a little bit confusing for people. So I just kind of I support the concept, but I look forward to seeing what the details look like and how we can make sure that the verbiage is very clear on what it's trying to accomplish. So thank you.
Councillor Dunn.
A question. So in these situations, then you would expect information to be provided to administration to support these situations. Should we have that in here in the motion?
So provided the development authority is satisfied that the beneficial ownership, management, and control of the operation has substantially remained the same. That was kind of the intent of that. So if you were going forward and saying my limited company number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is now dissolved, I'm a single shareholder, but it's still me in this corporation for these reasons, that would be then at the discretion of administration to say, are we satisfied that, okay, we understand that this business is broke down, this person has passed away, there's been a separation, whatever that change in title is, but with the natural intent of the original shareholder use of the property, this could continue. That was kind of my intent, but certainly open to friendly amendments or wording changes, or I don't know if that's something that administration will just work on the specifics of before it gets brought back. I don't know.
Can I just maybe we could just add something on the end so that it would say everything that you have on there. Excuse me, says provide the development authority satisfied that the beneficial ownership, management, and control of the operation has substantially remained the same, and information provided to administration. Simple and simple.
Mr. Late comes back, like don't look at this. I would like to look at it holistically, myself. I mean, if you're open to it, that's fine, but I think let's not try to put too fine a detail on it today because administration's going to come back with some additional changes as well.
Okay.
How do you want to deal with it? All right, let's move forward with the motion in place. Any other comments as it relates to the motion? All right, then I call the question, the council amend bylaw 1162-3 to incorporate a limited exemption to section 6.2 and 6.3 for the continuation of a short-term rental license where a change in ownership or licensed operator results from estate succession, corporate restructuring, death of an owner, divorce, separation, or other similar circumstances, provided the development authority is satisfied that the beneficial ownership, management, and control of the operation has substantially remained the same. That's on the floor, sir. I'm going to ask a question, and it relates to something that Mr. Scobie raised tonight, and the collection of information that Councillor Dunn's talking about. I mean, are we requiring any kind of a share registration, or is it as simple as registering a corporation and selling the shares?
Through the mayor, members of council, and I'll look to planning staff if there's anything to add. But as of right now, we're not requiring, lifting the corporate veil, so to speak, when it comes to who is all partners within this corporation. We're really just looking at whether it's a corporation. I think you get into some more complications doing that, but we also know that, like Mr. Scobie brought up, there are going to be some workarounds or loopholes within that system as well. So, but as of right now, we aren't currently doing that.
Thank you. And that was my point, Councillor Dunn. It's almost impossible to pierce the corporate veil. I mean, if somebody's going to do that, they're going to be able to do that. So, All right, then I called to question that big, long motion that I already read out. Please vote.
That was mass passing, so thank you. So-
Speak to that then?
Sure.
Okay. I thought we actually had 58 short-term rentals, but I hear we have 62. So right now, currently at 62, reducing the cap to 70, we'll still leave 8 licenses available for anyone who wishes to get a license. We know we need to build houses and we're in that process. So I think we just need some time to get that done. Just in the last few days, I've talked to 2 employers who were trying to hire employees. And they've actually declined the offer because they could not find any places to rent. And they found that the prices of houses was very high for them. These are younger single people coming to town to work. And another comment that I like to make is when we had a meeting with the Catholic School Board, they said that it's hard to recruit teachers to rural Alberta, probably everywhere. And part of that is housing shortage. So it's just another example of people having difficulty either renting or purchasing houses. It is an ongoing issue that needs to be addressed. I believe that we can always increase the numbers in the future if we determine to make it 70 tonight, but it's really challenging to reduce it. Did I say that right? It's easy to increase it, but it's harder to reduce it. Once people have the licenses, this is our opportunity right now to do that and still have 8 licenses available. 8 licenses. Sad.
Mr. Nelson.
I think for me, I can support it now. I could also not support it. I think we should just anticipate this is going to come back to us, whether it's people figuring out what the loopholes are, whether it's we need to have increases because now we have different data. We're in the middle of doing a lot of work around housing and the information that we have is incomplete. So I think and Hinton's weird. There are very few, like when we're saying so many
weird in a nice way.
Totally. Like when we talk about municipal comparators with a lot of things that we do, there's a lot of relevant municipal comparators. Short-term rentals, there really isn't one that has the same demand, but relatively low housing prices overall. Like it's a really odd market. And I really believe this is a bylaw that we have to just keep working at and keep making it better and keep finding that balance between homeowners and investors and hotels and all those parties, and just keep an open mind to evolving it as it best suits the Hinton of today and tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing this come back more times in the future as we learn more about Hinton's housing needs and also those investment opportunities. So thank you.
Councillor Charlton.
Just a question. Now that there's a motion for this to go to second reading, and we've received a bunch of information that I feel is going to make some changes, is it in the best interest to still move forward? Should we get that information more built into the bylaw?
Through the mayor, members of council. So by proceeding with second reading tonight, that means that if it comes forward, unless council wants to provide third reading tonight, I wouldn't recommend it just because the motion that was passed is relatively substantive. So if it comes to you again, that means you won't have the ability to make changes at that point in time. We could always, again, always defeat a reading and then go through 1, 2, and 3 again. We can certainly do that a lot quicker than the process we've gone through the first time, but it won't give us an ability to easily make the changes on the fly for the next meeting.
Councillor Chambers.
Yeah, excuse me. So just a further question then. So tonight, So if we go back and, reflect on the hearing, reflect on the information that we have. We determine that we want to start second reading at the next council meeting. We can't make any other changes. We would just be left at 3 or going back to 1. Is that what you
Yep.
just said?
Yeah, that's correct. So somebody would put forward third reading. If it's defeated, we could do 1, 2, and 3 all on the same day. So that's what I mean by it doesn't have to be a drawn out process. It can happen quickly, but it won't be able to, our previous readings won't stand if we want to make the changes.
Okay, so with that in mind, I won't be supporting the motion on the floor to go to second reading. I think I'd like to see a bit more of the work that administration does on the previous motion that was passed, as well as personally just having some more time to review some of the later submissions that are now in the package and were discussed tonight. So I won't supporting the second reading motion that's up right now.
Seeing no one else in queue, I agree. I think there's a substantive change. There's going to be some work for administration to have a look at, exactly how that clause is structured. And I think rather than getting through second and having defeat and go to first and this thing then bouncing off of one of this from the but I think the best way is maybe for us to bring this to next regular council meeting. And then we will have had the opportunity to review some of those late submissions. The information provided by Mr. Scobie was pretty substantive. I didn't have the opportunity to cross-reference with the bylaw itself, and I'd like the opportunity to do that, so I won't speak in favor of this motion either. All right, no one else in queue. The question, the council gives short-term rental bylaw number 1162-3, second reading as amended. And that is defeated with councillors Chamber, LaBerge, Nelson, and Charlton voting against. Council. Councillor Nelson.
I'd like to move that council direct administration to them the short-term bylaws, rental bylaw number 1160-3 to the June 16th, 2026 regular council meeting as amended. Sorry, July to the next regular council meeting as amended. And I think if I can speak to it,
please.
Same thing. It's easier to do second and third in the same night than it is to do third, then fail, then start back to first, second, third, needing unanimous consent, all of those things. So I think we're on the right track and all have the same idea in mind of where it's going. This is to me also the cleanest way. Thank you.
All right, council, we have a motion on the floor. Soon? I'm not picking on you. All right. I call the question, the council direct administration to bring short-term rental bylaw number 1160-3 to the next regular council meeting on July 7th. And that's passed unanimously. Thank you. Now we move on to action item 7.3, which is the appointment of the designated chair and clerk to the Regional Assessment Review Board Administration.
Thank you, Mayor. This one will also go to Ms. Bourbeau.
Thank you. Before you this evening, we have the request to appoint Lila Moselle as the designated chair for the West Yellowhead Regional Assessment Review Board for a one-year term, as well as appointing Melissa DeLong as the designated clerk for the West Yellowhead Regional Assessment Review Board. Hinton has the luxury, if you will, of belonging to a regional assessment review board with neighboring municipalities of Jasper and Edsip. and Improvement District 12. And what that allows us to do is rotate the chair positions of those committees for 1-year term, and it helps to build capacity within the staff in facilities. So this evening, and if there are any questions council may have.
Councillor Nelson.
I understand that Melissa Delorme is in the room, but is this something that Ms. Moselle wants to do?
Through to all of council. Yes, Ms. Moselle has been asked, she is willing to do it. She's already taken the refresher training, and as far as I understand, looking forward to the appointment.
Perfect. Thank you. With that in mind, I would like to move that council appoint Lila Moselle Hinton as the designated chair for the West Yellowhead Regional Assessment Review Board for a 1-year term effective June 16th, 2026, and that council appoint Melissa Delorme from Hinton as a designated clerk for the West Yellowhead Regional Assessment Review Board for a 1-year term effective June 16th, 2026. And thank you both for stepping forward.
All right, council. We have a motion on the floor of the council to appoint Moselle as the designated chair. West Assessment Review Board for a 1-year term effective June 16th, 2026. And because you want your promotion. And that council appoint Melissa Delorme of Hinton as a designated clerk for the West Yellowhead Regional Assessment Review Board for 1-year term effective June 16th, 2026. Please vote. And that's passed unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for stepping forward. All right, and that gets us through our action items for tonight. Do we have any notices of motion? Thank you. So done.
Thank you. I attended I got to read this so I don't get it wrong. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities Conference in Edmonton. It's an opportunity for all municipalities to get together and to discuss items. The common themes were the federal, provincial, and municipal governments need to work together in order to move things forward. That was pretty clear. And that all municipalities are dealing with the same issues that Hinton is, such as housing shortage and declining infrastructure with no funding for that declining infrastructure. It was an excellent conference, great way to get together with other municipalities. And I had the fire inspection done at the house and was able to pick up a sprinkler at the Fire Smart Fun Day in the Green Square on Saturday. They have one coming up on August 8 in the Valley, so I encourage anyone to attend if they didn't have an opportunity to do this. And they also, Red Cross was giving out pails, which was really nice, and it had products in there that you would use in an emergency, such as a fire flashlight. I believe it was so I thank Canadian Tire as well, because it was excellent to be able to pick that up, and also had a gift card from Canadian Tire as well to supplement the pail. So thank you. Just wanted to comment on that.
Councillor Charlton.
I as well had the opportunity to attend the FCM conference. And it was very well done. It was a very large scale conference. So it's a lot of learning opportunities that were there to happen. As Councillor Dunn, similar themes of municipality, provincial and federal working together. I was able to participate in the resolutions, which were interesting to see federally what were concerns that happened across Canada, and that these resolutions can be advocated at federal level. housing, had the opportunity to talk with a few municipalities that are also having troubles, not really troubles, but concerns with short-term rentals and tourism growth and how to promote their community. So it was nice to have the opportunity to exchange some of those ideas. I did attend a study tour to the village of Griesbach. I struggle with, I think it's Griesbach, which is a master plan community location. It's 20 acres of land on the former Canadian Forces base on the north side of Edmonton. And it was really, really interesting to see that they took a chunk of land and repurposed it in housing accommodation that had stacked housing, multifamily housing, assisted living housing. It had affordable housing, but there was lakes and trails and some perspective as to what the potential could be for developments and how we could create those stacked different styles of housing. I thought it was fabulous. It was probably a 3-hour tour, and it was really, really interesting. So that was my favorite part. Also attended an ASH meeting on Sunday, and we'll be moving forward with putting theater signs on the east and west side of the buildings this summer, just to help maybe tourists even understand that there is an actual theater within the building. So just to help maybe promote Hinton movies a little bit better. We've had a real uptake on bookings for the facility, and bookings are coming in further in advance, which is nice because it's helping us schedule events better. And just to promote, we do have a couple of really good musicals that are coming up in the fall, a Beatles tribute and Red Dirt Skinners. So get out and buy your ticket. Thank you.
Who are the Pink Floyd of country music, apparently? Yes, that's me. I'm going to put up in the 3 out of 2, so let's see that. Councilor Chambers.
Thank you. I was also privileged to go to the FCM conference as well. It's always interesting. I find it makes Canada feel a whole lot smaller when you're there with a group of people like that. So many of the things have been touched on, but as all things, I tried to fill my time with as much housing sessions and things that I could. I found it very interesting how many people they chase the grants, they see who got the grants, and a lot of people knew that Hinton was receiving rapid housing funding and different things. There was a lot of good conversations around that. So it was nice to be a rural community that people recognize as being successful in some of the housing things that we've done, because I think we don't often give ourselves enough credit for some of the stuff that we've moved ahead. I did a study tour as well of infill housing in Inglewood and Edmonton, and that was really fascinating for me because it is wild. 8 units, 1 lot, no parking requirement.
So then, yeah, this
felt and why this person moved, and you could see all the garbage cans, and it was just a really awesome perspective of the pros, the cons, all the different things. There was about 10 different sites that we walked around and visited to see. So it was really well done by Edmonton. It was a great conference, and yeah, really privileged to attend. Yesterday I was able to attend our municipal RCMP meeting.
The
Forget what-
Hinton
It's a-
Policing Commission.
Hinton Policing Commission. Yes, that meeting yesterday. So we had some good conversations, and a lot, as you see on social media and all of the other things, a lot of conversation around animal control. Just different issues that have been out there. So certainly something that bylaw, RCMP and City Council are aware. There's been quite a few issues lately. So we had some good conversations on that. I had to attend virtually, but they did a tour of the RCMP building afterwards. But it was a good meeting to attend.
Thank you. Councilor Nelson. There you go.
Since our last meeting, we had another DMO meeting. A lot of the focus around kind of the future direction of the DMO, a little bit more grassroots, and also kind of restructuring the team in order to support that. There is the DMO information center. Then we attend the SSS 60th anniversary, so congrats to Karen and everybody else that has been involved with FCSS currently and in the past in Hinton. In my time in elected politics, Hinton is always with FCSS looked at as being really innovative and really leading and making sure that 60 gets to 100. So it was great. It was definitely a younger crowd there. Lots of bouncy castles and glitter painting and petting zoos, but food trucks were out, and there was I don't have no idea how many people, but it was busy down there. And so yeah, just big congrats for that. And just in case the mayor misses it, BSN tomorrow morning at 8:30, and then tomorrow night is beer and blue jeans as well. So that's happening within the community together over the next couple days. So thank you. Thursday morning for tomorrow for DMO AGM, Thursday for BSN and beer and blue jeans.
Thank you. And the mayor would have missed that. And while these guys were hard at it, I was roaring around the Alps on a motorcycle, so I missed it. But the last meeting, I talked about the Hinton Healthcare Foundation supplying the staff support day where we provided lunch to all of the healthcare workers at the hospital. And I had mentioned all of the sponsors, but I had missed one very important sponsor, and that's Canadian Tire. So I did want to recognize them for this. But they said, as you mentioned, Dale, that pretty much everything that goes on here, they really step up. So thank you to Councillor Nelson for the lead on that, and sorry to Canadian Tire for missing you the last time. Administration.
Thank you, Mayor. We have included our monthly operating highlights. You'll see that we also included as a part of that report our organizational chart. That is a requirement through the CAO bylaw that I bring this forward once per year. So here you have it. If there's any questions, please let me know, or if it's just for your information. The only other thing that I wanted to just make sure that all council was aware of is our Director of Community and Protective Services. We have hired Scorpadine, our operations manager. So he's going to be moving over likely at the beginning of August into the new role, and we'll be looking to fill his position in infrastructure. So if there's any other questions on the report or anything else, I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, Councillor Dunn.
I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank FCSS and Karen for the 60th anniversary. I have a few comments, questions on the operating highlights. I think it's getting bigger and better every month. I think I can read this and know exactly what's going on in Hinton. I do have a couple of questions for the total vacancies. I know we talked about this before. It has 41. Is that high because it's also including students?
That's makes sense, but let
me confirm that.
Okay.
But so year to date, yeah, but we do have, with our full-time staff, we have a much lower turnover rate, but we also have positions like our lifeguard positions where those types of positions make up the vast majority of our vacancies throughout the year. And I know with some of the lifeguards going to school or whatnot. So, but yeah, thank you, Natasha. That is a year-to-date number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have a couple more things.
Yeah, we have some more in queue, so can we?
You want to get me later?
I'll get you later.
Okay.
Put yourself back in queue. Councillor Charlton.
Just a quick question under Parks, Recreation and Culture. Parks received 6,000 square feet of court surface tiles through a donation. What are those going to go towards? And that seems awful generous of Parks, so just curious how that all came about.
Yep.
Pardon me, yes, it is square foot.
So it's probably way more than $6,000.
Yeah.
Through the mayor, I'll have to get back to you on this one as well. I believe this is related to I don't know if it's related to the skate park. I know that all of those temporary skate park that we had put up outside was all, we had gotten all of those assets from Gas, but I don't know if this one's related.
For indoor port certificate tile. So the pilot program is in process and the announcement is likely to come. So just wanted to let you know that we have all this material and the plan is in progress.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Councillor Dunn.
Thank you. On page 95 of 105, where it has the statistics, I'm really happy to see this. It's expanded a bit, and I'm happy to see the short-term rental complaints on here. And I'm happy to hear that the policing committee reviewed the animal control bylaw. In April, it was at 42, and now this month it's at 34, which is clearly high numbers. But I'm asking, could we have, I know it has year to date on the bottom where it says files to date 2026, 417. Could we add a column to the right of, say, the 34 and the 1 and have the year to date there as well, please? Just so we could see it individually what the year to date is.
Yeah, through the mayor. Yeah, that's easy change.
Okay, thank you. Just one more.
Let her rip.
Okay.
No one else in queue.
Okay. I'd like to say to administration, I'm very pleased to see that the hydrant repair and replacement project has been awarded and is proceeding as scheduled. So thank you for that.
All right, no one in queue then. I do have a question. So this aquatics partnership with Valora, can you explain what that was? Because they wanted to do it on an ongoing basis?
I was hoping Natasha would pop up for this one too. But I never saw her.
How is that paid for? How is that, like, that's my question. I want to make sure that we're not subsidizing hotels who don't want to build a pool. This is an easy, cheap way to do it, I guess.
Through the mayor, we can get the details on cost, but we don't provide pool for free, right? You know, this is likely a hotel buying certain amount of passes or them coming and saying that they're staying at the Valora Hotel for a certain period of time and they can access it. But I believe that it would just be Valora, the hotel, paying for it. But we can get that information for you. Just send it in an email if that's okay.
And I would just like to say thanks to everyone who worked on the skate park. The feedback's been really positive. It seems to be busy down there again. So that's a service I'm glad we're on top of. So thank you. Any other questions before we move on? Oh, Councillor Dunn. Now it's on.
Thank you. I missed one thing. On page 96 of 105, where it has the development permit stats, there's 7 of them that are permit value is 0. I'm just wondering why it's 0.
Essa here, because she does the stats.
Okay. Well, two of them are short-term rentals. And yeah, the other ones are home occupation. Okay. Okay, and the last one was temporary permanent outdoor event, rides, games, concession. That was at 0. Okay, thank you.
Counselor Charlton,
I was just going to make a motion to move into closed session.
good motion. All right, council. We have a motion on the floor. Session at 52 p.m. Please vote. Welcome, everybody. We have some good news, and Councillor Chambers has a motion to make.
I'd like to make a motion that council enter into a funding agreement with the Government of Canada and authorize the required matching funds to complete the purchase to support transit for Hinton, Alberta project AB 123567, Government of Canada's Rural Transit Solutions Fund, and approve the municipal portion of 249,977 capital expenditure with $116,565 to complete.
So we have a motion on the floor. I'm not going to reread it. Please vote. I've shut down mine, so I'm going to vote manually. Yeah. Have you voted electronically, sir?
I have.
I'm not even surprised, Mr. Fancy Pants. All right, that's passed unanimously. Thanks. Councillor Nelson. Oh,
I'll move that we go into closed session.
thank you.